So switching to the next side of the coin, so full-time remote employees, and what are the pros? So pros generally, again, here is generally speaking, you can hire them comparatively cheaper than freelancers. So obviously, if price is an issue, going for that option is more economical for you. They are comparatively easier to hire than hiring someone in your geolocation. So if you live in a tech hub, let's say San Francisco or Berlin or London, so hiring someone in another location full time that is not necessarily a tech hub and offering them a similar compensation package, it will be much easier for you to hire remotely than hiring in your particular hub. So that's also an advantage. So the flip side of the freelancing here, you tend to get stronger commitment, especially if you know how to build a remote culture, right? This is a waiver. So if you do know how to build remote culture and not just, having a water cooler Slack channel, but just really taking care of your employees and, building the one-to-ones and building the career path and showing them what the vision is, really going deep in explaining to them, what your company is about, what your company stands for, you will get that stronger commitment back, provided that, again, it's the right hire. And you will get the culture as well, which is the other point number 4. So you'll get stronger commitment, and as a result, you'll have a bit of a more of a cohesive culture where people can interact with each other, even though they're in a remote setting, about things that are not related to work. So they can hang out socially with each other, they can play games with each other online, or they can do informal, Zoom beer sessions after work. So really, probably going to get a lot of criticisms for this, but because beer is not necessarily culture, but really explaining the why and following up on an individual basis with remote employees will go a much longer way than doing so with a freelancer. And also another thing you will get is consistency, because there will tend to be a longer involvement duration. So there'll be the same people working for a longer period of time. You will have more consistency in your team, more consistency in your culture, and also even more consistency in your results. So if you're building a product for the long term, and you're a bit more patient in the results today, but you really want to have a team that delivers in the long term, this might be a solution for you. And then lastly, we're talking about not just compensation, but also fringe benefits, right? So offering them equipment or offering them retreats or social benefits or other benefits that the company can offer. You can attract a lot of talent like that, and the overall compensation package might be lower, but what they get out of you out of the benefits might be, the net result might be more beneficial for them. So it will be easier for you to attract them via these fringe benefits. Right. And my last point is the cons of hiring full-time remote employees. So one of them could be cultural differences. So if you're hiring a full-time employee in another country that you have no cultural affinity to, or that you've never hired someone before, you do need to keep in mind some cultural differences. The further away you go, the stronger the cultural differences. However, there are these things that you do need to keep in mind, and especially because the relationship will be more long-term, you need to maybe learn a little bit about that culture, how they communicate. Are they kind of a direct culture where they say how it is, or an indirect culture where they say something and they mean something completely different? And this could be like a simple exercise, but there could be other things like that. And you're not going to get it right from the beginning, but at least it's good to be aware of some of the cultural differences. The other con is hiring will be slower. So it will be faster than you hiring someone locally, but it will probably be slower than hiring a freelancer, um, simply because people need time to change their mind. They probably have notice periods in the country that they're working in the company that they're working for. This could vary. This could be shorter than 3 months, which seems to be the standard here in Germany. But it could be 1 or 2 months, depending on how long they've been with that company for. So there's also that. The third point is, unless you have an office in this country, you do need to consider the legal paperwork. So you do need to hire people under local legislation and offer them local, public holiday days. You need to keep in mind what are their rights, what type of health benefits, what type of social benefits do they receive? Are they mandatory? Are they not mandatory? Usually, you wouldn't do this by yourself. You do this through a company like Deel or WorkPath. However, that can cost and that can take some time as well. But it is one way to do it. You definitely don't want to take on the legal liability of doing it yourself. So using one of these services might be beneficial. And lastly, you do need to spend some time on training, career development, career path, mentoring. So you do need to set up time for that. Yes, again, hiring might be easier somewhere remotely. Just looking at the differences in price or in compensation. However, that doesn't mean that people don't want to get trained or people don't want to grow just because they live in a different location. So besides the financial package, so to say, you do need to set up some time and think about training, think about career development, think about career path, think about mentoring them, onboarding them, taking the time and really spending the time to for them to learn about your product, about your processes, about your company, about your other team members or stakeholders that might be in your company. So this will take some time until it's done right, and it usually will take a bit longer than if it were a freelancer. So I know this video was a bit long, longer than usual. However, I did want to do a full comprehensive comparison between these two forms of employment. And I'm curious to now maybe hear your opinion about one or the other, if you think I was right or wrong, or if you think I missed anything. I'm happy to hear it in the comment, and happy to have a discussion with any of you. Thanks.